Border Break is a free-to-play third-person shooter. It's been on arcades for almost 8 years or so now, with various updates and new additions. It's finally made its way onto the PS4. The game is multiplayer only and features giant robots known as blast runners, battling out across pretty big maps. I got to play the beta over the weekend and it wasn't up for long either, so I just spent more time playing the actual matches rather than messing about too much in the menu, as this game does have a lot of customization available. Gameplay sees two teams pitted against each other. You can have up to a max of 10 players each side, which is pretty huge. The way to victory is to defeat your enemy's energy reactor. Whoever energy reactor receives the less damage will also win. Of course, getting anywhere near the enemy's reactor is a whole nother story. You can see the damage done to each team's reactor by looking at the top left hand corner with 2 gauge bars. You will have to capture points on your way to your opponent's base as well. You control your mechs with the analog sticks, left to move around and right to aim. L1 and L2 are for your boost, either to hover or dodge out of the way, or if you hold it down you will travel faster across the ground. This movement reminds me more of the earlier Armored Core games. Attacking is done by pressing R2. It's free aim and attack. There was some kind of lock-on feature when you got close enough to someone. You could then press R1. This seems to be something that would be better suited to other weapons, or melee perhaps. I never got the time to fully get that part. You can switch between weapons and you really need to learn how to change around quickly depending on your situation. You have swords for melee and various grenades. You also have items that can enhance your boost, for example. Activating that will allow you to boost around even faster for a short period of time. You will have to then wait for it to recharge, so it's not something you can abuse. Again, there are probably other devices you can equip that give you extra features in terms of movement, defense and attack. Before you go each time, you can choose between 4 different classes. Assault is your basic average loadout. Heavy mode means you won't have any melee weapons, but just a ton of machine guns and other ballistic energy weapons. Sniper mode, which I guess is for players that prefer long range combat. And then finally support class, which is for people that like to play the nurse on the battlefield. For customization you can change your weapons, but more importantly you can totally change your blast runner around from head to toe, much like Armored Core. Head, torso, arms, legs can all be changed and will give you different performance boosts in accuracy, boost capacity, reload speed and boost dash speed, etc. There are quite a few different manufacturers to pick from and I never got to pick them all, but over time I would think you'd find what works best for you eventually. Graphically the game is not going to blow you away or anything, but the graphics are okay. Music and sound are fine as well. What impressed me was the maps. I mean, there were 3 maps on this beta. The one for the tutorial, which wasn't great but it's very good for its purpose, which is to help you learn the game. The proper maps where you fight other people for real is really a big change from what I'm used to facing out of the few giant robot games I've played that featured online multiplayer. They are well thought out tactically and aren't just wide open areas. You feel like one of the 8th MS team fighting Norris. I've mentioned Armored Core a few times in this review, and that really is the closest thing this game reminds me of, from the way the blast runners look to how you move about. It didn't take me long to get hold of the controls, which are perfectly fine. I was soon starting to evade most attacks and dish some out myself. Of course I still spent most of the time getting my ass whooped, but I'd say in the last 40 minutes before the beta abruptly ended, I was really starting to have fun. Getting past the huge hurdle that is the menu and what your loadouts are and just how the game functions is the tricky part for sure, but this is clearly a good game. Now since this was a beta, everyone is on a level playing field. How much that will change when money comes into play remains to be seen of course, as this is the case with any free to play game. I really hope the game can retain its balance and doesn't put freebie players too far behind the paying ones. I'm not entirely sure what will be up for sale, but obviously gameplay and time will be one thing, as is the case with all free to play games. At this moment SEGA haven't said anything about a Western release, but the fact this game is even coming out on consoles is a miracle itself, so I'll never say never. It could very well come out in the West.